Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Trolleyheim with your host, Rabbi Anibal. So happy and excited to start this class to help us prepare for Pesach, for Passover. So it's so glad to see that we already have people connected. So welcome all of you. Let's see who is here. The Grossmans are here. Brendan, David, welcome. Amparo Goldman. Priscilla Kerr, welcome. Lee Arthur Solomon, welcome as well. If there is anybody else there, because I see the numbers. My app combines YouTube, Facebook, different platforms, so I can see how many people are here. But so it's more people than messages. So I want to see who is in front of me this afternoon. Welcome, Judy Chirac. Great to see that you were able to connect today. So let me clean up a little bit here. My screen is a little bit busy today. I have music and have different things so we can all study for Pesach. I hope you do have plans for Passover. I hope so. I hope you have two Sedarim to attend as slowly but steady, I would say. The world is going back to normal. And we are gathering again. And so I hope you have a chance to celebrate this coming Pesach with either family, friends, or community. My plans are very interesting. For the first night, I'm going to have my family here at home. We have an improvised streaming studio in my living room. So we are going to stream, which is the second annual Pajama Seder. Okay, even though it's the first night of Pesach, I know it's confusing because the second time we do it. Pajama Seder, where we are all wearing matzah pajamas. But the whole idea is not to stream it just for the sake of entertainment. But let's say that you are gathering with your family and friends at home and you would like to have me and my family leading your Seder. All you have to do is put on the YouTube, turn on the speakers, and we can do it all together, right? We are giving for free the Haggadah that we produce at the Sherry Zedek. We got a donation from Vicar Nissan, great friends of Sherry Zedek, to actually print all these Haggadot, so people who wants a physical copy can come to the Temple Shalom and get as many as you need, actually for free. I think it's an excellent thing, right? So, and since we have the same Haggadah, then we can do it together because I will be calling pages from the Sherry Zedek Haggadah. Okay, so that's one option. If you are not living in Winnipeg and you still want to do it that way, we have the Haggadah on our website, so the PDF, so you can download and print it, or you can read it from the screen. You have to go to szwinnipeg.ca/Haggadah. Okay, /Haggadah, and you will have it there. So if you don't have anybody leading your Seder, please join mine, even if it's virtually, and we can do it all together. The chat will be open, so we can talk to each other. It will be lots of fun. I will be having my piano. So all the music will have music accompaniment. What about that? I think my son is going to sing the Manishtana again. If you were here for the timer, the timer that we play before the class, the song that I was playing, that was my son singing. My son Ronen, he's 9 years old. He recorded it last year when he was 8. And he promised me that he was going to record a new song for this year. But he's getting smarter. He told me that he has no issues to record with me, but he wants to get paid. Those are the kids in these days. Come on! He wants to get paid. Whew. I guess I will have to. I don't know. Wish me good luck with that. Very smart kid. So, Josue Selva, welcome. Welcome to the class. Shelly Chochinov, you are here. Now, you're not late. I'm just talking. Shelly. And now we are going to start studying about the Haggadah. Okay? Priscilla, your kids will do the same. Yeah, remember, Shelly, the days when the only money you will have to handle the kids during Pesach was for whoever gets the afikoman? Not anymore. Now, if you want them to sing, you have to pay them. My goodness, where is the world going? Maybe I should scare them. I should scare my son that if he doesn't want to do it, I will have some kind of artificial intelligence doing it on his behalf. Then he will get scared. Just kidding, or maybe not. I don't know if you've been following the news about artificial intelligence. What a crazy world we are living in. Okay, so let's begin with the class. Otherwise, I don't know if I can present everything that I have for you anyway. The Haggadah is long. The Haggadah is long, right? That's why people always complain that the Haggadah is too long, right? What is the most famous thing during the Seder? The most famous question? When do we eat? And don't blame them, because the Haggadah is long. So, okay. So before we start, I hope if you are celebrating the Seder, you have one of these, okay? One of these things that I have here, that is the Seder plate. In Hebrew, it's called the ke'ara. Ke'ara. And you don't supposed to eat anything that is in the ke'ara, okay, on the ke'ara. It's not to be eaten. It's just to be explored, explained, studied. Okay, it's a display thing. So let's see what you're supposed to have there. There are at least two different versions of the ke'ara, and I will explain in a minute why. So let's go to the top of the ke'ara, and then I will start moving clockwise. So at the very top, let's say that like at 12 o'clock, you will have the maror, the bitter herb. Okay. Please let me know in the chat what you use for the maror. I want to know, because there are different traditions, and that will be one of the things for the class. We're going to explore different options for the maror, but I want to know what you use. And why we have the maror? Well, it's in remembrance of the bitter times when we were slaves in Egypt. It wasn't easy. It wasn't pretty. It was bitter. So we eat bitter herbs to remember that. Okay, then let's keep moving. Now, we are like, I don't know, what is that, like 2 o'clock or something. We have the zeroa, shank bone, and that is a bone, it's usually roasted previously, that is in remembrance of the Pesach offering. We studied that last class, okay? When the Israelites were about to leave Egypt, they have to slaughter a lamb, roast it, and eat it. Eventually, we were commanded to have a tabernacle in the desert that was like a little sanctuary, and then every Pesach we will have to sacrifice a lamb and then eat the meat. So we don't do that anymore because the temple eventually was destroyed in Jerusalem. We don't do sacrifices anymore, so we cannot present the Pesach offering anymore. But we have a little bone there in remembrance of that sacrifice. If you don't have a lamb bone, you can actually use like a chicken bone, or it could even be plastic. It could be something to remind you the sacrifices that we used to offer. That's it. I even seen people that they put a little, what is it? Oh, I lost the word. This vegetable that is red and sweet. That is used for borscht. What is it? Let me know in the chat. Yeah. Then we have the charoset. Charoset is a sweet mixture. It's supposed to be in remembrance of the mortar. Beets. Thank you, Judy Sharak. Beets. Some people put beet because it's red, right? It's just because, remember, you don't eat this. It's just it's for display. So I guess you can use beet. Charoset, again, a sweet mixture in remembrance of the mortar used by the Hebrew slaves to build the Egyptians' buildings. Okay. Then we have at the very bottom, at 6 o'clock, we have the chazeret. It's the second version of the bitter herb. Okay, so this is interesting because here is when you have different models of the plates. Some plates don't have the chazeret; they just have the maror. Chazeret is a second type of maror. So some people will use horseradish for maror and lettuce for Hazeret. Why letters for Hazeret? You have to wait. Later in the class. Then, Lee Arthur Solomon, what about a bone from a lamb chop? Yeah, you can do that too. You can do that. You can use a bone from a lamb chop. Yes, absolutely. If you can get that. All you have to do, remember, if you use that, it has to be roasted first. Or even if it's just a bone, you can burn it. That's my point. Because remember that the Passover sacrifice was roasted, and whatever was, there were no leftovers. If you couldn't eat all the meat, the rest will have to be burned. So we put that kind of burn-ish bone there. Okay, Hazeret, second type of maror. Then let's keep moving. We have the karpas, the parsley. Why is it? It's usually a green, leafy vegetable to remember that Pesach is also called Chag HaAviv, which is the festival of the springtime in the world. Well, not in Winnipeg, but you know what I mean. It's springtime, so that's why we have the parsley. Then we keep moving. We have the beitza, the egg, and here is when everybody gets it wrong. Everybody will say, well, we put the egg because the cycle of life and blah, blah, blah. Well, let me tell you, the origin of the egg has nothing to do with that, because the egg, if you think about it, is also roasted, right? The egg is in remembrance of the Hagigah offering. Was another sacrifice that it was offering in all the festivals. Passover is one of the major festivals, so we used to have the Hagigah sacrifice in the temple, but we don't have the temple anymore, so we kind of burn an egg, which is the symbol of mourning. If you ever been to a Jewish funeral, when the funeral is over, family will probably invite you to the meal of consolation, and in the meal of consolation, the first food the mourners eat is an egg, symbol of mourning. So we have an egg in the keara, in the Pesach plate, as a symbol of mourning, because we don't have the temple anymore. Okay? I bet you didn't know that one. Okay, and sometimes in the middle, you will have a little bit of some people put the salt water there, and it's something that is going to be used during the Seder, because the salt water represents the tears of the Israelites. Okay? So that's a little description of the plate. Again, there are some plates that they have 6 spots. Some plates will have 5. If you have just 5 on yours, you should check. If it's just 5, I bet it doesn't have the Hazeret. Okay, let's continue with the steps of the Seder. We usually sing this part. And the steps of the Seder are 15, sometimes 14, and I will explain why. First one is Kadesh, where we do the Kiddush. And that's the first cup out of 4 that we have in the Seder. Second one is Urchatz. We wash the hands without a blessing, because this is not the washing of the hands that we will usually do before we eat bread, right? Before you say the Hamotzi, we wash the hands with the blessing. This is a different one. Back in the day, people used to wash hands before eating a vegetable that was going to be dipped into something. Could be in a gravy, into water or something, right? And that's exactly what we are going to do in the Seder. But because this used to be something done just in the temple, and the temple doesn't exist anymore, it was a disagreement between the rabbis if this is an obligation or it is not. So they decided to do it, but without a blessing, just in case. Because when you say a blessing, it implies in this case that it's an obligation to do it. And because of the disagreement, they decided to do it, but without a blessing. Okay? And again, it's just because we are going to dip the vegetable. We are going to dip you will see when there is a part of the Seder. Next is the karpas, right? That we eat. This leafy vegetable, and that's we're going to dip into the salt water. And that's why we wash our hands. That's the next step, karpas. Then yachatz. We break the middle matzah. We're supposed to have 3 matzahs covered. 3 matzah covered in this plate. Then, of course, you have much more matzah for people to eat during the Seder. But this one, you put it apart, you cover. Most people, for those 3 matzahs, they will use matzah shmura, which is handmade matzah. That's what I do in my house. Okay, so for the Seder, for the display, for sure, I always have shmura matzah. Now, in later years, my tradition was also to have enough shmura matzah for people to eat during the Seder. During the rest of the week, yes, I eat the square one that you can get at the supermarket. But for the Seder, I'm a little bit more stringent and I use only handmade matzah. Okay? Let's continue. After that, so you break it, and then one part of the matzah is going to be hidden, and that's the afikoman that we're supposed to eat at the end of the Seder. The kids go look for it. You know how it works, right? And then you have to give them a prize if they find it. Next, after we break the matzah, we start with the Magid. We start telling the story of the Exodus. Very good. Magid. Then we go to the Rachza. Now we wash the hands before the Hamotzi. So this one is with a blessing. Then we say Motzi, which is the Hamotzi, right? Because the matzah is bread. It's unleavened, but it's still bread. And then the next one is matzah, which is the specific blessing that we say over the matzah because it's matzah. Okay? One is because it's bread. Second one is because it's matzah, because it's something special for the Seder. So you have the two steps, motzi and matzah. There is when there is also a disagreement. Some Haggadot will list 14 steps and motzi, matzah will be combined. Okay? And some Haggadot will print 15 steps and motzi and matzah will be 2 different steps. That's clear? Okay? In the Shari Zedek Haggadah, 2 different steps. So in our Haggadah we have 15 steps. Okay, after we say the blessing for the matzah, we eat the matzah. Finally, that's the time when we eat the matzah. Then we have the maror, bitter herbs, and we eat it. What do we eat when it's maror time? Again, hold that thought, because that will be one of the special parts of the class, to talk about the maror. Then you go to korech, which is you have to make a sandwich. Matzah, maror, and charoset. That is, it was invented by Rabbi Hillel. Okay? Then we go to Shulchan Orech, which is the festival meal. That's when you have the matzo ball soup, everything you want to eat during that part of the Seder. After that, we have to the tzafun. You have to go and look for the afikoman. Okay? And then you have to say the barech, which is the birkat hamazon, the blessing after the meal. Then you have the hallel. You have to praise the name of God, which is, I hope you don't have to explain that one, why we praise the name of God during the Seder, celebrating freedom, right? Important part. And I believe the rabbis put it there because it's very easy to forget to bless God and to thank God and to be grateful to God after we have a big meal. Big meals are usually too material, too materialistic. It's something that feeds our body. So we feed our soul as well by singing verses of Hallel, verses of praising God. And then at the end we have the Nirtzah, where we read a paragraph from the Haggadah that we said the Seder is now over. And then we sing other songs if you want. But these are the 15 steps of the Seder. Now, you want to do it more interesting in your Seder? You can sing it and add motions to each one of the 15 steps. Let me give you an example. Usually the melody that most people use will be Kadesh Urchatz, Karpas Yachatz, Magid, Rakza, Motzi, Matzah, right? That melody. So if you want to add motions, you can say Kadesh, that's the Kiddush, right? So pretend that you're holding a cup. Kadesh Urchatz, wash your hands. Karpas, you dip the vegetable. Karpas Yachatz, break the matzah. Magid, tell the story. Rakza, now this is the serious washing the hands with blessing. So you pretend that you're pouring water 3 times over each hand. Okay? Motzi, you take. Motzi. And then matzah, you eat the matzah. Motzi, matzah. Then maror, it's bitter, right? So when you eat the maror, you can do something like You can make a face, right, for that part, for the maror. Korech is a sandwich. Pretend that you are eating a sandwich. Korech. Shulchan orech. You pretend that you have cutlery because you eat. Tzafun. You have to look for the afikoman. You can do like this, right? Barech. You can do something like this, right? Because you are blessing. Halel. You do like this. You look at God. Nirtza. You cross your arms because you are done with the seder. So that's a fun way to do it. So you will be like this. Something like this. Kadesh urchatz karpas yachatz magid rachza motzi matzah mador. Right? Korech shulchan orech tzafun barech halel nirtza. What about that? It's an easy way for all of you to engage everybody when you sing the first part of the Seder. That's what I'm going to do with my family, but they don't know yet. So don't tell them. It's going to be a surprise for them what I'm going to introduce this year when everybody will have to do this crazy movement. Okay, so yeah, we have the Kadesh, which is the Kiddush. Okay, the sanctification of the name of God. That's the first step. Remember, we have 4 cups of wine during the Seder. There is a 5th one, but we don't drink from that one. The 5th one is the one for Elijah the prophet. It has to be full of wine, but remember, we never eat it or drink it. We don't drink that one. Now, again, we have the first washing of the hands. And how do you do it? This is very important if you want to know the mechanics, if you want to know the laws of how to do the washing of the hands properly. Okay? It's called like this. I'm going to read. Before washing your hands, be sure that they are clean and free of anything that will obstruct the waters from reaching the entire surface of your hand. Okay? So don't wear gloves or if you have sometimes glue or thing. Just go wash your hands first for hygiene reason. This is not something that you do with soap or anything. This is a ritual washing of the hands. So be sure that they are clean even before you start the Seder, okay? Now, then, things that many people forget, you have to remove your rings because otherwise the water won't touch certain part of your hand. So remember, if it's stuck there, don't try. If you can, remove your rings, okay? Because the rabbi said that if you wear such rings that you cannot remove it, it becomes part of your body. So it's okay to leave them there. Hi, Denise. Welcome to the class. Then, fill a cup of water and put 3 times on your right hand and then repeat on the left. Okay, lefties, reverse the order. Very important. So 3 times on each hand. And then rub your hands together. Do like this. Then you can dry them. And remember, you don't say any blessing for this one. Is that clear? Okay. So again, I mentioned this before. The Talmud will say that any food that is dipped into a liquid requires washing of the hands before it is eaten. And because we are going to eat the karpas that is going to be dipped on the salt water, we need to do that. Any questions? Please let me know in the chat. Okay? And if you haven't said hello in the chat, say hello in the chat. I want to know you're there. Just like Denise, that she says shalom. So, I mentioned that we wash our hands so we can eat the karpas. And let's explain what is the karpas, by the way. So, the karpas is a vegetable other than bitter herbs such as celery, parsley, or boiled potato. And let me tell you what is my problem with the karpas. Because it said here that it has to be a vegetable other than bitter herbs. Okay? And I understand that. But the problem for me is I hate celery. Right? So if I chew raw celery, for me, it will probably take me back to times of slavery. Same goes for parsley. To me, it's inedible like that. It's like I don't enjoy the flavor. Boiled potato, getting better. I can use that one. So that's my favorite. That's my favorite, especially with salt water. It's delicious. Okay? But most people I know, they use celery or parsley. Let me know what you use on your Seder. Type it in the chat. I want to know. We should have a poll. We should have a poll to see what people in the class are using for their Seder at the time of Karpas. Okay? I'm curious. I'm honestly curious. Now, it must be a vegetable on which we make the blessing, borei pri adama, which is something that comes from the earth. Okay? Something that grows from the earth. Not something that is from the tree. That's very important. That's why it is. Shelly Chochin, if you use Italian parsley, never curly parsley. Brenda Grossman, parsley, but I like the potato idea. Okay. Very nice. Very nice. So, Passover is the spring festival where we celebrate the birth of our nation, and these vegetables are a symbol of rebirth, rejuvenation, and of course, spring. And that's the idea. Okay? So, what do you say? We have the blessing for the Karpas, and you said again, Borei Pri Adama, which is who creates the fruit of the earth, because it's Shelly Church, what about cilantro for those who like it? I guess. I don't know. But there was something, and I talked more about that, something back in the time of the Talmud that I think one of the things that they were used for maror was very similar to parsley. Anyway, but we don't use it now. Amparo Goldman, you use Mexican parsley. Very good. Shelly Chochin, green onion instead of celery. Okay, I like green onion. Very nice. Denise, Italian parsley. Okay. Very good. So you say the blessing, dip it, and eat it. Remember, every time that you say a blessing for food, you have to eat right after. Otherwise, if you don't do the action after the blessing, it's considered a bracha levatala, blessing in vain, and that's forbidden. So if you say the blessing, just be sure you have all the elements before you say the blessing. But again, you said, Denise, can you use basil? I don't know. I guess yes. Of course you can, because it's any green vegetable, or any vegetable that grows from the earth, okay, and it's not maror. Then you can use it. What you cannot use is lettuce, because lettuce is maror, believe it or not. More about that to come. Then immediately after this, the next step is the yachatz. We break the middle matzah, okay, into two pieces. Most likely, when you break the middle matzah, you will realize that one piece is larger than the other. In fact, the rabbi said you have to be sure that that's the case. If they're both equal in size, you have a problem. Why? Because according to the halacha, Jewish law, the larger piece is set aside to serve as the afikoman. Okay? That's the one. You wrap it and you hide it. And the smaller one goes back in between the other two matzahs. Okay? Shelly Chochinov said carrot tops. You eat that? Carrot tops? Okay. I always keep the carrot tops for my mother-in-law's bunny. I think the bunnies like carrot tops. I'm not a bunny. But if you have it, okay. People have different traditions, right? People have different traditions. So that's the way you do the afikoman. Remember, you break it. The big piece is the afikoman. The small piece goes back there. And it makes sense to keep the larger piece, because the law is that you keep the afikoman safe. So just to be sure that there will be a little bit of matzah at the end of the Seder. It's a way of remembering after you eat why you are there. Okay? It's the rabbis say that you should keep the flavor of the matzah as the last thing of the Seder. So that's one of the reasons. Now, after that, the next thing that is important is the Magid. Here is when, this is the longest part of the Seder. This is the part when everybody starts saying, when do we eat? This is it. It's the retelling of the story of the Exodus. But the funny part of this is that there are no clear guidance of what to say. Of course, you have the Haggadah where you have lots of text there, but the Haggadah for the Magid is a guideline. It doesn't mean that you have to do all of it, but you have to do it in a way that you feel that you are retelling the story of the Exodus. And you have to do it in a way, remember, that the kids will also get something out of it. If you will do it in a way that the kids will be bored to death or absolutely not into it, because of course they're kids. You can't pretend that they will be into everything, but you have to do it in a way that they can enjoy it as well. And here is when we have, for example, the famous song of Al-Ahma. Let's sing it. Let's sing Al-Ahma together. Let's see if we can do it. I have my piano here. So the Al-Ahma goes like this. Let's see. Start preparing, and if you know it, sing with me. Al-Ahma, Al-Ahma anya di achalu havatana be'ara de Mitzrayim, be'ara de Mitzrayim, kol dikvin yetei veichol, kol ditzrich yetei veivsach, השתאך לשנה הבאה בערה דישראל, השתאבדי לשנה הבאה, בני חורין. And that's the Al-Ahmania that we sing during the Seder. I don't know if you use the same version. Let me know in the chat. That's the one that I sing at home. The other iconic part is, of course, the Manishtana, the 4 questions of the Seder. And this is representing a little bit, it's trying to capture the questions that kids may ask during the Seder. Because it's Seder with all the thing is very different for something that you will do, for example, on Shabbat or for other festivals. So kids ask, why do we do this? We never do it. What's so special, right? Bye, Judy. Have a wonderful day. Chag Sameach, happy Passover if I don't see you before Pesach. So the 4 questions, Manishtana. Now, the content of the 4 questions changed from the Mishnah times. The one at the very end, that it says on all nights we eat sitting upright or reclining, and on this night we all recline, it's a new one. Back in the times of the Mishnah, that question used to be, on all night we eat lamb, either roasted or boiled. But on this night, only roasted. Why? Well, we don't have the lamb anymore, so that question was replaced. Welcome, Karen Farkas. You're never late. Don't worry. And the class was going to be rebroadcasted tonight at 8 p.m. Central Time if you want to play from the beginning. So, the Manishtana, the 4 questions. Let's sing it together if you want. I will sing it for you. Manishtana goes like this. I will sing a little bit. Manishtana laila ze mikol haleilot שבכל הלילות אנו אוכלים חמץ ומצה, חמץ ומצה. הלילה הזה כולו מצה. הלילה הזה kulo matzah. And then all the questions, they have the same melody. Okay? That's the version that most people will do. Sometimes in my Seder, I'll spice it up. And I use different versions. But this is the most common ones, at least in these days. You know that back in the day, it used to be sung with the melody, with the chanting that students use at the yeshiva when they study the Talmud. מה נשתנה לילה זה מכל הלילות שבכל הלילות אנו אוכלים חמץ ומצה לילה זה כולו מצה. That used to be the melody, by the way. Hello, Randy Lodinger, welcome. Okay, so just so you know, there are different versions for the Manishtana. Now, then of course we sing the Avadim Hayinu, and let me sing it first, and then I will explain something that is very interesting, and I bet you didn't know. So let me do it here. Listen to this, the Avadim Hayinu. If you feel like singing at home, please do. That's why you have the Hebrew and the transliteration there. Avadim Hayinu goes like this. Avadim Hayinu, Hayinu, לפרעה במצרים, עבדים היינו, אתה בני חורין, עבדים היינו, אתה בני חורין, אתה בני חורין. Which basically means once we were slaves in Egypt, to Pharaoh now, but now we are free. What you probably don't know, and you may have experienced this, that is not part of the Haggadah, at least not in this version. There is a section on the Haggadah that is called Avadim Hayinu, okay? It starts with the same words, but then it goes differently. In nowhere it says Ata v'nei chorin and stuff like that. Why? Because this melody that we all sing is a popular song. Somebody wrote it, even the words. So we added in the Shaarei Zedek Haggadah as a separate paragraph, but you should know that it's not part of the traditional Haggadah. That's, I don't know, I bet you didn't know that one. And you thought that it was part of the Haggadah, and you were never able to find it. No. If you couldn't find it before, it's because it's not part of the Haggadah, okay? So don't feel bad about that. The other one that we sing is Ve'ishi Amda. Do you do that? Ve'ishi Amda? Let's sing it. Let's sing Ve'ishi Amda. Have it here. Oops, wrong music. והיא שעמדה לאבותינו ולנו, והיא שעמדה לאבותינו ולנו, שלא אחד בלבד עמד עלינו לכלותנו, אלא שבכל דור ודור עומדים עלינו לכלותנו, והקדוש ברוך הוא מצילנו מידם, והקדוש ברוך הוא מצילנו מידם. Ve'ishi Amda. And it's very interesting because this the words go, this is what has stood by our ancestors and us, okay? And it's not clear what is the subject of that sentence. What is it talking about? Is it talking about God? Could be, but the thing is, the words go vehi, and the translation would be, and she is a female. So the rabbis believe that the words, it's a reference to the Torah. The Torah is what kept us strong, because it says, for not just one alone has are rising against us to destroy us. But in every generation, they rise against us to destroy us. Okay? So the Torah was always there with us. And then at the end, it will say, and the Holy and Blessed One, and the Kadosh Baruch Hu saves us from their hands. It's a beautiful song that we sing. There are many there are at least two versions. That's the one that I sang. That is the most popular. And there is another one that is the Israeli version that you may have heard from Jonathan Razel. I recorded it, I believe, a couple of years ago, so you can find it in our YouTube page, Vehi Shehamda, by Jonathan Razel. Okay? Now, all the moments that you probably experience in your Seder is the 10 plagues. We actually read about the 10 plagues because it's it's basically the prelude to the Exodus. Okay? So we acknowledge the 10 plagues that allowed us to be free. Now the thing is, and this is where it starts getting complicated, because in order for God to make a point, okay, in order for God to make a point, the Egyptian people had to suffer. Do you understand that? Look at the plagues: blood, frogs, lice, wild beasts, pestilence, boils, hail, locusts, darkness, slaying of the firstborn. Ouch. Okay? The plagues were sent to punish Pharaoh and Egypt, but not necessarily the Egyptians, which you will see halfway the plagues, everybody was begging Pharaoh, let them go. Let these people go. You're killing us, Pharaoh. And Pharaoh said, no, they are not going anywhere. So unfortunately, the Egyptians have to suffer because of the stubbornness of their leader. So while we celebrate our Exodus, we cannot be happy for all the pain that was inflicted on the Egyptians. So what we do is every time we mention one of the plagues, we remove a little bit of wine from our cup. Why? Because wine is a symbol of joy. And we are taking away a little bit of joy for every plague because of all the suffering to innocent people. So remember that. That's why we take the wine out of the cup. Why? On how? You can use your pinky sometimes and you put it on top of a like a napkin or something like that. Or you can use a little spoon if you want to be more civilized. I've seen different ways. So you can actually try, you can test your pulse and just do it just bit by bit by pouring out of the cup. Just try not to make a mess. But we do that as we read the plagues. Okay? If you have any questions, let me know. Now, the other one that we do, and this is very interesting, is Dayenu. Dayenu is probably my favorite because look at the words. If God had brought us out of Egypt, okay, if that would be the only miracle, just bringing us out of Egypt, it will be enough for us. We'll be grateful, okay? If it will be just Egypt and the Shabbat, but not the rest, we're still grateful just for that. And if it will be Egypt, the Shabbat, and the Torah, we'll be grateful for that. So in other words, this is a song that reminds us to be grateful at every stage of our life. Okay? Or in other words, also to celebrate partial victories or partial achievements. Sometimes you don't get the full thing. Don't let that discourage you. Celebrate what you got. Okay? Celebrate that and be thankful. And we sing it this way. The Dayenu. Dayenu, 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 Illu Otzianu, Otzianu Mimitzrayim, Otzianu Dayenu, 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 Dayenu. That's the melody that we all know and we love for the Dayenu. Again, if you go to the Haggadah, the version of the Dayenu is not exactly like that. Every stanza is longer. This is a song that it was adapted from the Haggadah. Don't forget that. So you may have, if you want to do the whole thing, you may have to adapt it as well. Okay? So, the other thing that I want to talk to you is basically, other than retelling the story of the Exodus, there are three things that we talk about during the Magid. Okay? And we explain it. That is the Pesach, which is the sacrifice, the Matzah, the unleavened bread, and the Maror, the bitter herbs. And there are specific paragraphs that explain each one of these three steps. And I understand we won't have time to talk about all of them. I want to talk about specifically, I want to talk about the Maror. Okay? The Maror. And what is it? Here. Remember I mentioned before that they are in most of the Seder plates, two different kinds of bitter herbs. Okay? One is called Maror, and the other one is Hazeret. I put there for your convenience a couple of photos, because the Maror is usually horseradish shredded, and the other one, the Hazeret, is the romaine lettuce, or lettuce in general. Okay? And again, symbolizes the lot of the Hebrew slaves whose lives were embittered by the hard labor. Okay? So, why the two different kind of marorim, which is the plural of maror? Okay? Why do you think is that? By the way, I will put there the names so you will remember which one is which. So, everything happens during the times of the Mishnah. The Mishnah presents the following dilemma. It says, there are five species of bitter herbs mentioned in the Mishnah. And they are Hazeret, lettuce, Ulshin, endives, Tamcha, and this is chevril, Charchavina, creeper of the palm tree, and Maror, Soncus oleracus, I guess, which is a relative of the dandelion. Do you know that? That is the maror that is mentioned on the Mishnah. Those are the five things. Now, the funny thing is, the rabbis also explain that this is the order of importance, right? If you have to pick one, the best one is the first of the list, which is Hazeret, which is the lettuce. So the one that was always preferable, if you have it, if you have access to it, is the lettuce, not the horseradish. The horseradish was a substitute to Eastern European Jews, but due to weather and other conditions, they didn't have the original Hazeret. So you will see that that's why many times the Hazeret is missing from the plate, because it was impossible to get. So why would you put it there? And they left only the Maror, who was the cheapest, but it was also the last one of the list. But all the others, it also works as the bitter herbs. What about that? I don't know if you knew that. I didn't know that. But it's, yeah. So now the word maror, by the way, because this is confusing, because you will see, how come the maror as a word is the last on the list? Well, because the word maror is what we call an autohyphonym, referring both to this species specifically, it's a dandelion, right? And at the same time is used to to refer to any species suitable for use at the Seder. That's why the confusion, because maror is a category. Oh, I can see here, you can see, there you can see it better. Okay? Do you understand that? If you have any questions, let me know in the chat. I see the chat is kind of quiet. Or am I missing messages? Nope. No, the chat is quiet. I guess that's okay. That's okay. So now that I explain this to you, are you going to plan trying to change what you use for maror? Let me know as well. I'm very curious, because when I learned this from the Mishnah, that's when I started to use lettuce for to fulfill the mitzvah of maror. Especially the bottom, what is called the heart of the romaine, that's bitter. Okay? To me, horseradish was never bitter. It's like spicy. I don't know. It kills me, but not because of bitterness. It's a different kind of flavor. Now, the other thing that is interesting is the haroset. That is the thing that we eat in the order of the Seder right after, because first we do the maror, and then we do the korech, which we make the sandwich with maror, and we add haroset to it. So the haroset reminds us of the hard Jewish labor performed with bricks and mortar. Haroset is a pastry mixture of nuts, dates, apples, wine, and cinnamon. Everybody has their own recipe, right? Yeah, Randy Loading. It takes time to take it. Oh, come on. If I would explain to you everything that I do on my Seder, we would be here until 6 p.m. Okay, but thank you so much. Thank you for finding it informative. There is so much to learn. Many of the things we learn because we practiced it, right? We saw it at the Seder and we do the same, but sometimes we don't stop to think about why we do what we do in the Seder and where it's coming from. So I have to admit, I recently learned, a few years ago, about the 5 types of maror. I didn't know that before. Okay. Denise, you use arugula, and that's bitter. That's bitter as well. I bet you can use that. Yeah. Now the haroset, I put it here as a fun fact. The Talmud says this serves as an antiseptic. I don't think they knew what antiseptic was back then, but nevertheless, to dilute the harsh effects of the maror. Yeah, think about it like I don't know if do you like, for example, East Indian food that is very spicy, and you would see that right after that, if you buy the desserts, are usually very sweet, right? To bring a little bit of balance to your tongue after eating all those spices. So it looks like the haroset was supposed to be some kind of mixture to get rid of that harsh flavor that the maror may give you, and that is the haroset, right? That we use. I don't know what recipe do you use for haroset. If you don't mind sharing, you can type it in the chat, right? And then after that, we finally have what is called the Shulchan Aruch, where we enjoy the Pesach Seder. You can eat as much as you want. You can take all the time you want. Okay? And then eventually after that, you're going to search for the afikoman. Okay? And this is the funny thing. Before you search for the afikoman, you have to be sure that you serve the dessert. You have to finish the meal. There is nothing left. If you have a coffee and sweets and have all that, everybody is done. Fine. Now we search for the afikoman. The kids will find it. You have to redeem it, because remember, you cannot finish the Seder without the afikoman. You need it. So that's why we pay or whatever. So the kids will handle the afikoman to us, and then we cut it into little pieces, and we passing along. So the last flavor you will have in your Seder is the afikoman, and the last couple of cups of wine they're going to be part of the order of the Seder after this. Okay? So that's the only thing. Brenda Grossman says, I'm making Moroccan haroset bowl this year. So what's the recipe? Don't let me go without the recipe. Share it with us. the Moroccan one. Oh, but Moroccans, they use they can eat kitniot, right? It's I'm Ashkenazi, so there are certain things that I don't eat for Passover, but I'm curious about what Moroccans eat as a haroset. Okay, well, that was a little review of the Haggadah. So I hope you will be a little bit better prepared for this year's Pesach. So at least you will know what to expect when you go through the Seder, and have a little bit of context and why things are there, right? And you can even go back and replay this class so you can play again the tunes, so you can be prepared for the tunes and sing along for this year's Seder. Okay, I leave it there for all of you. And remember, if you miss this class, if you miss part of it, I will be restreaming it tonight at 8 p.m. Central Time. And again, if you want to have Pesach with the Shari Tzedek, the first night of the Seder is going to be streamed from my home. The Haggadah is there for all of you for free, either in our website, swinnipeg.ca/Haggadah, or if you're in Winnipeg, you can go to Temple Shalom and pick up free versions, printed version of the Haggadah, totally for free, thanks to a donation from Vicar Nissan, that they are paying for this week Haggadah, so everybody can have it for free and we can connect and do it together. Okay? So thank you very much, everyone, for tuning in. I hope you have great plans for Passover, for Pesach. So I want to wish you a Chag Sameach, Chag Pesach Kasher V'Sameach. If you are selling your chametz, you can do it through us. Remember that. You can also go to our website and fill up the form there, and I will then that becomes a power of attorney, so I can sell your chametz. I will be meeting with the person that's going to buy all the chametz on Wednesday at 10 a.m. Central Time. I'm going to stream it so everybody will see how the selling of the chametz is done. The buyer is his name is Gary Sergenko, and he is the National Director of Bridges for Peace, which is an evangelical organization who they are very good friends of Israel. So we do it with them every year. So if you wanna experience that, you can either come to Temple Shalom on the 5th at 10 a.m. or you can also tune in to see how it's done. Remember, sell your chametz. It's very important. We don't supposed to not only not eat chametz, but also you are not allowed to possess any chametz during Pesach. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Stay safe. Hope to see you soon. Chag Sameach, everyone. Bye now.